The headline ascends from an opinion column in the New York Times: "The world's superpowers are scrambling for an edge." It makes all of us less safe, frames a story that has unfolded since Pierre-Olivier Gurinchas became an economic counselor at the IMF in 2022. That was barely a month after Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine. The invasion turned out to be a shock that the IMF hadn't expected, an economic battlefield that would ripple across the entire globe. From there, the narrative expands. The global economy has had to wrestle with a series of shocks that are often presented as isolated incidents. Take President Donald Trump's volley of tariffs, a purely economic strike, and the war in the Middle East involving the United States, Israel, and Iran, an outright armed conflict. Yet when we plaster these incidents side by side, we see a clearer pattern, a deepening fragmentation that is both geopolitical and geoeconomic. The fragmentation is not merely a byproduct of more conflict, it turns the global stage into a chessboard where wounds can become chronic, where strategic economic rivalry looms like an undercurrent. Gurinchas frames this new era as a different kind of war, one not declared with artillery fire on a daily basis, but one that is fought through trade choke points, currency manipulation, and the use of supply chains as weapons. He warns that such a persistent ride on economic insecurity only adds another stream that could spill into full-blown conflicts. Central to this shift is the move of the world's gravitation. For a long time, the United States held that center. This imposition came from a loose but powerful bond of cooperation, the IMF's 191 members and a global economy that moved in tandem. On paper it worked, it fostered a remarkable in trade, rising to about $35 trillion a year, and cut extreme poverty from around 43% in 1990 to just 10% today. But it was a blanket that pulled too tightly. A more recent reality is that the older economies are no longer the sole engines. Rising power came to the forefront, China, of course, but also many advanced and emerging countries across Asia, Latin America, and Eastern Europe. They have shown that climb isn't just a glimpse of parity, it changes the physics. Southerner allegations of diplomatic strain turn in the economy as leaders look on the same flights of concern with wary eyes. Interdependence brings vulnerability, supply disruptions, restrictions on finance, trade choke points in critical minerals, oil, and advanced chips. Think of Iran's recent leverage on gas supplies. That episode is a reminder that when you create bonus points for trade, the same pathways can become the lines of truncheon control. The dangerous loop resets itself. Nations that feel threatened from that leverage piece together barriers, tariffs, export controls, selfish industrial policy, and regulatory tightening. Those barriers feed back into the economy's fragmentation, and that fragmentation, in turn, fuels more protectionism. It is a feedback cycle that may, over time, become a spiral that pulls even more distress out of the economy. What is at stake is not only politics but human face. When the world's center shivers, the economy poos, hate, and the scenario of the FR. Communities breaks. Economic aberrations have an ever-increasing potential to become battlefield too. The article is a sober reminder that global cooperation has tasted better than the disease of isolation. It works best when the benefits outweigh the risks. That is the message, an urgent call to look beyond short-term headlines to the structure that can shape the future of world peace and prosperity. Thank you for listening. Stay informed and keep questioning.